Oh God! Not again! The I-N-G! Oh man! Holy moly, do I need a Danish! Welcome to Legends of Gotham, where we talk about Fox's hit series Gotham, set in the world of Batman. I'm Horse, and I'm also Bill Meeks.
And I'm DeSimone. Can I be a chicken?
A chicken?
I don't know if you're a horse.
Oh yeah, I guess if I'm a horse,
I'm a
you would
chicken.
definitely have to be a chicken. But we're back to talk about another wonderful episode of Gotham this week, and it was a wonderful episode, I thought.
It's a wonderful episode.
And, normally I would kind of, try and stall for about 30 seconds here right at the top. But yeah, I need a drink. So, Anne-Marie, why don't you go ahead and get us right into the rhyming, riddling episode summary for this week's episode.
All right. How does a spy become a manservant? By being the best, loyal, and observant. Will Dollmaker's henchmen get Fish to agree? Depends on how much of his plans she can see. Is a mask a symbol, or is the guard blind? Is a crimson hood poison to a criminal mind? Gotham's pure evil. Isn't that good? The clothes are all weapons in this week's The Red Hood.
Oh, yes, the Red Hood. Yes, the Red Hood. I enjoy the Red Hood. What do you think about the episode, Anne-Marie?
I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as whoever just impersonated you.
I was kind of going for like a Boris Karloff.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I got it. Don't worry, I got it. No, it was a really good episode. The Red Hood was actually probably the least entertaining of the storylines for me.
And probably the least significant, too.
Yeah.
It was kind of just going on in the background while there was a lot of other more disturbing stuff going on.
Significantly more disturbing. The eye!
We'll get there, I'm sure.
I know. I did think it was weird, and maybe this is just because we have talked about this sort of the opposite of this, that Jim and Harvey sort of took a backseat this week. Mm-hmm. That they weren't like the story. Yeah.
And actually, I just ran through our notes real quick. Did you put anything in about Fish Mooney? Mm-hmm. Oh, did you? Okay. So
I realized you didn't. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll talk fish.
But one of the big sort of like headline banner things that happened in this episode was we got to find out a little bit more about Alfred's past, which I thought was kind of cool via the character of Reginald or Reggie. You didn't like him?
I didn't like him from the second I saw him the first time watching
it. Yeah, he seemed a little shady for sure.
I was like, you, sir, are not a good man.
But yeah, former, what was the name of the...
Her Royal Highness...
SAS, I think it was...
Special
Air Service. Yeah, a former colleague of Alfred's in the Special Air Service, hired by Wayne Enterprises to, suss out some information on young Bruce Wayne. I kind of wonder how they found Reggie or Reginald.
Exactly. And his story kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, I have no idea how they found him. So there's that.
Yeah.
But he's like, said he got in trouble with the cops and that they told him to look up somebody from his thing, like from his old regiment.
Yeah.
Hello, random British guy in Gotham. How did you know that another random British guy would be in Gotham?
Well, I think it was a cover story, but it was definitely kind of weak.
It was
for sure.
I know it was a cover story, obviously.
Yes.
So
obviously there was other stuff.
Obviously there were some other things.
But I thought it was interesting the way it left off a little bit there, that last scene in the boardroom. Just because right now the board thinks that Bruce doesn't have anybody, but they don't know about Jim. Yeah. Which I also thought was an interesting dynamic. I actually, it made a lot more sense what went down between Bruce and Jim a few episodes back, based on what happened in this episode. Because Bruce rejected him, he pushed Jim away. But I think that maybe not an in-universe reason, but maybe that was the writers getting Jim away so they wouldn't have to be like, well, why didn't Jim stop by and talk to Bruce like he does every epised? A couple episodes.
He was sort of doing that, wasn't he?
But so Reginald had no idea that Jim and Bruce were tight. And, there was some Montoya and an Allen out there, too.
Hey, a Montoya and an Allen.
Where were they?
Where you at? But I almost feel like Wayne Enterprises should have known because Jim hasn't been the quietest detective.
Yeah, but at the same time, he hasn't been very loudly pursuing the Wayne murder either.
I guess it's been months.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's been working on a lot of semi-connected cases, probably more so last half season than this
Well,
half
yeah.
season. But he hasn't been like out there, I'm going to find the Wayne murderer for Bruce Wayne.
There's been other things in his mind.
That's been more of a just in the study sort of thing, which, by the way, there are more rooms in Wayne Manor. We got to see a lot of them. We got to
Yay!
see a kitchen,
I like the kitchen.
another little hallway there. Very nice, very
Yes,
nice.
the foyer.
Also, the bottle of Burgundy that Bruce brought up, 66 Burgundy, reference to the year the Batman TV show went on the air. It was 1966, which I
You're
thought
so
was
good
kind
at
of
that
fun.
type of stuff.
I also thought it was interesting that Reggie ends up being the first. Well, I guess Catgirl trained him a little bit, but basically the first outside master that starts training Bruce in some different techniques and stuff, and very counter to the things that Alfred thinks is
Yes.
important for Bruce.
Absolutely. Well, Alfred's trying to keep the past in the past.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been kind of, I think, encouraging Bruce in the training and stuff too, but he's more about discipline and all that stuff. Where this Reggie was more like saying, okay, you have to use every dirty trick in the book if you want to win. You know, take any advantage you can get. And I definitely. I think Bruce, if nothing else, I mean, obviously he's not going to be a big fan of Reggie's after this episode.
No, not a fan.
But I think if nothing else, Reggie kind of showed him that maybe he should expand his horizons past Alfred, because Alfred has a very strict philosophy for, what he wants and everything. And that's not necessarily, what's going to be best for Batman.
It may not be what's best, but some of it sort of crossed over, because one of the things that he said to him, because this was my next point, was we got a lot of kind of information, things to think about, quotes from this episode.
Yeah.
He told him, don't lose your cool. It'll get you killed.
Very true.
Let's just be honest. Batman doesn't really flip out.
Yeah.
It's not really his thing,
But
neither does Bruce.
At the same time, the stuff that Reggie was telling Bruce will be very useful to a future Batman too, such as if you have a larger opponent, use their strength against them, attack low, things like that. That'll come in handy when he's fighting people like Bane or Killer Croc or
In a
something
very
like that.
large cape.
Oh yeah, have you ever seen like the '90s capes they had for Batman?
Like the full length cape.
Like, they got crazy. I'll try and.
Okay, you keep looking. I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that on the ground? Is that like a wedding dress?
I'm trying to find like this is the kind I'm talking about here. I'll show our video viewers too here. But yeah, like just these big long flowing capes. So let me see if I can find.
It was the top one, the first one.
Oh yeah, this one right here where it's
Yes.
all dragging on the ground.
It's
and
a wedding
everything.
dress.
I think that's on like a Michael Keaton doll.
Yeah, it looks like a Michael Keaton doll.
Let's see, Todd McFarlane, Batman.
Live Googling is dangerous.
Yeah, see, I'll try and find a better one here. Yeah, look at this cape. Like it's all chunky
look
and
at this
torn. And hey, look at this cape.
Hey, look at this cape.
Look at this cape. oh, forgot to turn the music off again. But go ahead with your points. Sorry, I got distracted by capes.
Fashion police. The things we learned about Alfred's curriculum, because we really hadn't, we could figure it out, but we hadn't gotten a definition of it, was that it is discipline, skill, and hard work. Which he has all of those.
And you can see that off the line in a lot of Alfred's actions and
yes.
stuff this season for sure.
Which goes with the keeping the past in the past. And how he, sort of sends Bruce to bed, who still eavesdrops because he's 14, and finds out you're a cold-blooded war dog. And I was like, oh. I see it, but you actually went there.
Yeah.
So that was a little odd. And then, sadly, my friend has been stabbed.
And then just hangs right up on them.
I know. I was like, who hangs up on 911?
He didn't. Well, I guess he gave him his name. I guess that's in Gotham. All you need is the name to know where Bruce Wayne lives.
Basically.
For sure.
It's called Wayne Manor. What's he going to do? Be like, hey, this
Stately.
is Bruce Wayne from Wayne Manor.
Stately Wayne Manor.
Whatever.
And I thought it was interesting the way they kind of approached Alfred's past too, to where he was just completely ashamed of everything that had happened in his past. The killing and everything.
And the eating of the person.
Yeah.
That it tasted like fast food and was disgusting. Ew.
Gross.
Grody.
That was a nice warm scene there right before Alfred got freaked out, though.
Before everybody got freaked out.
Okay, well, I guess we should talk about the main attraction of this episode, the
Supposed to be main attraction.
titular, is a hard word to say, a dangerous word to say,
Yes.
villain of the episode, which is the Red Hood gang. I thought it was a very interesting tale. I thought it was a fun one. Probably one of my favorite sort of freak of the week villains for sure. I thought the most fleshed out concept for sure too.
Yes.
It was interesting though because it was an inverse of the comic book, the original comic book Red Hood gang, which we've discussed this in weeks past. But and look at this Joker, which we're probably not going to have this week.
No.
But basically, the Killing Moore by Alan Joke, the Killing Joke by Alan Moore, the classic story, the '80s Batman story, with the Joker's origin. In that story, the Joker, as a struggling comedian, becomes the Red Hood, and they put a big red hood on him and a big cape and everything and a suit to distract Batman and the police from them robbing the place so they can get away. So it's kind of the inverse of how it was in this one, where the person who wore the hood was the leader, and he was the guy. He was the charismatic guy that.
Well, the first one was.
Yeah, but where
Hood
the original Red Hood, it was sort of the inverse, where that was like the decoy. That was I will go off on a little tangent here. I always kind of like the concept of well, you know how Batman has the yellow shield on his, or the yellow behind his bat shield. Some people have theorized that the reason that Robin wears a yellow cape, well, the reason Batman wears the shield, the yellow shield, is to attract bullets because that's where he has armor, so people don't try and shoot his head. So people think maybe Robin has a yellow cape so to attract the bullets to keep them away from Batman.
Oh, that's horrible.
But
Poor little Robin.
just one of those funny little
it's just hilarious.
theories
Let's
I've
just shoot the child. It's better than shooting the Batman.
Yes, definitely.
The Batman.
Maybe they'll flash forward someday and have the kid who plays Bruce Wayne play Robin in a thing. That'd be fun. No, they won't do that.
No.
No, but I also thought the Red Hood was interesting. It kind of reminded me of, if you've ever heard the classic horror story, The Monkey's Paw,
I like the monkey.
where it's sort of if this was a morality play just about the Red Hood gang, it would make a lot of sense. Just like The Monkey's Paw kind of brought out the weaknesses in the father, the mother, and the son in that story. Which, if you don't know it, the monkey's paw is basically they get this cursed paw that'll grant you a wish, but does it in a very ironic
bad
Twilight Zone-esque way. But this mask, this Red Hood, seemed to bring out everybody's personal flaw. It brought out the first guy's egotism and sort of narcissism. It brought out the second guy's greed, and it brought out that, I guess a third one probably greed too, or lust for power.
No, just lust.
Yeah.
Because it was to keep his girlfriend.
Yeah, if they had done two more or a few more, they could have got all of the 7 deadly sins, I guess. But no, vanity, greed, lust. There are a few more. But I thought that was interesting how the Red Hood sort of acted as a talisman that brought out the worst in all these people. And I also thought it was really interesting that the second Red Hood that we saw had sort of a class warfare motive, which we've seen before. In Spirit of the Goat and in the Balloon Man and stuff, people using, the class difference in Gotham, the 1% versus the 99, as their motivation for moving forward. And I also think it's going to make it really ironic that eventually, all these criminals starting their lives of crime because of class warfare, either the person that's going to take them down or the person that's going to save them is going to be Batman, who's a billionaire. So so I thought that was kind of like for one that kind of makes sense if they're fighting a billionaire, since they're already doing everything they're doing out of a sense of unfairness and class and everything. But then if Batman ends up turning them away from a life of crime, also ironic because the billionaire thing.
That's the whole saving thing.
But I also I thought it was interesting that the first Red Hood, the first guy. In the first scene, it's in our album artwork for this week's episode and everything, he understood why the hood worked, why it worked as a symbol, why people were convinced by it. And then the rest of them, they didn't really understand why it worked so much as they understood that it did work. But they didn't understand the why of it. So basically, they just kept copying or they would take the mask and copy what the first guy did, and then the third guy with the second guy, just to kind of just because they knew it worked. But you could tell the second guy, especially when he was like, "Oh, should I give him the money? Should I not give him the money?"
Nah, fine.
Yeah, they were running out of time. They weren't as right on the clock as they were with the first guy and everything. So he knew that it worked. He didn't know why it worked though. He didn't have that knowledge
He
the
wasn't
first guy had.
charismatic either.
Yeah.
He didn't have that. He threw the money inside the bank, which was just ridiculous. I was like, no.
They're going to take all that back.
They're going to get that back.
Well, see, then again, he was using the hood because he knew it worked, but he didn't understand the why of it. He didn't understand why it worked to throw the money when they got out of there, to get away from the police and everything. But it also brings to mind the whole class warfare thing, too. Brings to mind one question to me is there's a classic question with Batman that many fans ask. I've heard many discussions on it. Is why doesn't Bruce Wayne, to clean up Gotham, instead of putting on tights and a cape and going out and fighting crime, and investing in all these toys, why doesn't he just put all of his billions into social services and renovate the slums and all that stuff, which he does do that stuff, but why doesn't he?
I was about to say, doesn't he have a bazillion charities?
He does, but they're saying, why doesn't he just go full force into doing charity work, like a Bill Gates or something like that in our world, to kind of set that right in Gotham? And I think possibly the board's kind of vendetta against him might be part of it, and it might be connected on several planes, with the mayor and whatever's going on with Dollmaker.
He doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah, like I think the basic answer to that question is there's a lot more going on in Gotham than you could possibly imagine, and that ultimately putting money into charity isn't going to fix it because it's too entrenched. There's rats in the sewers underneath Gotham, and you're going to need more than some good exterminators to flush those guys out, I guess.
Okay, so the Red Hood guys, where do you think they all met? Because I'm not completely convinced that they all worked at that garage. I think that was just the meeting spot.
Yeah.
Where one or two of them worked. Because, the big guy, the chubby guy.
Yeah, Red Hood number 2.
Red Hood number 2 was a baker.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they all it could be in a cut scene or something too. Maybe we'll see once they come out with the DVDs or whatever. But it's very possible that maybe they all just had some financial goal they wanted to hit, and so they all came together. Like that guy wanted to be a baker, the other guy was trying to save his relationship, the charismatic guy, Red Hood number 1. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to save that garage or something.
I don't know.
Maybe he needed a new haircut.
No, that was the Thor-looking character.
Maybe he wanted to bleach his skin and dye his hair green.
Oh,
At first, honestly, when in that first scene, I was like, oh no, they're actually going to make it to where this guy could possibly be the Joker, aren't they? But then thankfully they killed him.
Yeah. Things you should never say. Thankfully they killed
Thankfully he's dead.
Thankfully he's dead. No, I just don't know about them all having yeah, they all wanted money, but that's what all bank robbers really want, is the money. So I don't know. I feel like there had to be some sort of other connection, and I just wasn't seeing it.
Yeah.
It was also a little bit confusing because when they got to the first, bank, and he pulls out the hood and puts it on, what is that? That's a hood. I didn't know we were wearing hoods now. This is the first bank. It's very clearly stated throughout that this is the first bank. When did we start wearing hoods? It's the first one, so he started now.
Yeah, well, I
it
think
seemed a little.
I think it was just he kind of sprung it on them.
Yeah,
was the main issue. But you'd think they wouldn't try and change things up right at the last second there with all the preparations they made. With the doing the fire bombs to time things out. But he was the one who did that.
It seems like the other ones might not have been completely involved in that.
Well, he did seem very much like the brains of the operation right until they shot him in the chest.
Until he stood on a car and said, "If you have this hood, you're in charge."
Delanto in the chat room here asked, when do you think young Bruce will become Batman, or do you think he will in Gotham? I think there's a potential that we could at least see him running around in dark clothes with a ski mask on or something, kind of like the Red Hood but black.
Yeah.
But I think they it feels like they could probably pull a Smallville and just do it as like the last scene of the show, him going off for his first adventure as Batman. But I'd like to see, like, if this gets 5 or 6 seasons, see them do one whole season as Batman year one.
It would have to be the last season.
Yeah,
but
definitely. But we'll see how David, the actor who plays young Bruce, how long he wants to stick with it too.
Well, I don't even think that because he's a 14-year-old kid playing Batman.
Yeah. I have floated the theory, and I would like to see it sometime. Maybe if they do like a time jump in between seasons, to where like they jump to like Batman's been around for 2 or 3 years for the last couple seasons. That would be cool
that'd be totally fine. I think.
Yeah.
I think they may actually have to, because there are so many child actors on this. I mean, they have 3 main characters that are children.
Yeah, this is very true.
Tweens, if you will, for Miss Ivy.
Mm-hmm. And that can be very uneven, especially as they start progressing through later puberty and stuff.
Right.
Like, because they just like, you look at them one episode and then they come back to another episode, which, follows right after, but might have been shot like months in between. And you're like, oh, wait, that kid has an Adam's apple now.
That kid is no longer a kid.
Yeah.
And you can tell, his voice is not very matured right now, but I think they may end up having to do that year or 2 jump to look legit.
Yeah.
Probably even between seasons 1 and 2, definitely I could see it between 2 and 3.
Definitely.
Not even remotely what I was trying to talk about, but I'll go with it.
Oh yeah, you had a couple more.
Okay. The dude at the first bank. The one who pressed the button. Why was he so mad at them for looking at the tapes?
I don't know. I think he was just like, I think it was just like a very sort of broad thing with him and the secretary, where, okay, you're all business, and then secretary, you're all, hey, I like that guy,
He seemed real nice. He was just charismatic. He's like Robin Hood.
See, when I was thinking for like half a second that he could actually be a new Joker suspect, I was thinking, well, maybe she's Harley or something.
She kind of had that adoring love look.
Total fake out. But
she could still be Harley.
Potentially.
Doubtful.
But probably not. Yeah.
Very doubtful.
Okay, let's see here. Before we move on to more of our discussion, we just had a couple things we wanted to point out to you guys here real quick.
This is typically where we would start singing and dancing and talking about a Joker.
For Look at This Joker, but we don't have Look at This Joker this week because
Look at This Alfred.
We're pretty much convinced that the Joker came last week.
Yeah, they pretty much told us that.
But let's see here. Our friends, and we're kind of going steady with them in podcast terms.
Hey,
our friends over at Gotham TV Podcast, who cover Gotham, but they do it for the UK, so they're still stuck at the last half season. What was that episode? The episode with Alfred being like all action hero and stuff.
Oh, action hero Alfred.
Yeah, so they're still waiting for new episodes, but they got a chance to interview Sean Pertwee, and I know that they did some interviews with most of the cast at New York Comic Con in advance of the season premiere. But we wanted to point this out. I took a listen to about half of it today. I still need to get through it, but I definitely want to point this out, and definitely check out John and Derek's show too, especially when it comes back. Like, they always have a lot of good insights, and we definitely
they're highly entertaining.
We definitely want to get them back for a podcast roundtable. I think we already have one like soft confirmed with.
Oh, do we?
To have them back with Victoria and Andrew.
If we could get Victoria and Andrew back on the show.
If they ever show up on Gotham again. But yeah, we definitely wanted to point that out. And let's see here. There was one thing I don't know if we've mentioned this, but we started a new podcast about a month ago called Universe Box, which is sort of a story set to a theme. It's kind of like Mr. Rogers for grown-ups. And we're doing the episode on fear this week. And so we were wanting to get a lot of people to just grab your smartphone, take like a 3-second video, and say something you're afraid of, like apples or something like that. If you're afraid of apples,
I am scared of Granny Smith apples.
But if you want to do that, and then just go over to bit.ly/whatareyouafraid and you can put the YouTube link there, or you can just email it to us at legendsofgotham@gmail.com. Let's not confuse them with the other email address. Yeah, you can just send it to legendsofgotham@gmail.com. And we'd love to do that. Yeah, just turn your camera phone on for like 3 seconds, say something you're afraid of, send us the video file or the YouTube.
I'm scared of eyeballs. Click.
Exactly, and I am too. And
I'm scared of spoons now.
One more thing we wanted to mention before we get back to the discussion here is we have a Patreon now.
Woo!
If you're not familiar with Patreon, basically what it is, it's sort of a crowdfunding. But it's more of like a instead of paying for us to do a certain project, like, hey, we want $3,000 to do a podcast for 6 months. It's more of like a monthly thing. Well, you can do by, I guess creators can set it up by content you create, piece of content you create, or by month. We've set it up by month, and it's not covering just Legends of Gotham, but it's covering all 3 of our podcasts. Right now. So right now we have 3 patrons at $21 per month. It's basically like a subscription service, or I guess you could call it a subscription. They'll ping you for the dollar or whatever you decide to donate every month. And we have a lot of goals here. The first one, which we'll probably end up hitting pretty soon since we're already at $21, is a monthly hangout with everybody, like with our listeners, to talk to you, which is fun, right? And then $100 a month is no more ads. And we have a bunch of goals, and you can check it out at patreon.com/universebox. But we also have a lot of rewards for you guys, too. Now, at 10 cents, you get every Dog Boy Adventures book I've ever written, as well as every podcast we've ever recorded in a handy zip file. $5 you're eligible to appear with us on those live hangouts. And then $10 I'll make a horrible sketch and mail it to you. $25 we'll send you personal letters
And a horrible sketch.
and horrible sketches. I know one of these here. I think $5 will record an MP3 of us singing any song you want, and we'll send it to you, and you can do with it what you will.
Badly.
Yeah.
It'll be sung very badly.
But we're going to try this out here just because we kind of want to get away from the ad-supported format, and we also kind of want to grow. We've had to do a lot of equipment upgrades and stuff, especially like the past 2 months. I think I've almost $1,000 on equipment in the past month and a half. I had to get a new mixing board, new hard drives, all sorts of stuff like that. So we're just kind of trying to get a little back for that, well as grow.
We would like to get rid of this fuzzy animal that I'm talking into.
Yeah, we'd like to get Anne-Marie a professional microphone like I have, and a professional webcam like I have, and everything, or a newer webcam, because her webcam's, I think, $5 or something
like that. So there's what I'm working with, people.
Yeah, but we'd really like it. We'd really appreciate it if you could go over here, and I mean, you can even donate 10 cents a month. Just some sort of way to just say, hey, I like what you're doing. Keep doing it. That'd be great. It's patreon.com/universebox, and we'll have a link
everywhere.
Yeah, there's a link on the website at legendsofgotham.com, and we'll have it in the show notes too. Okay, so I guess we should get back into our main discussion here.
Please.
And that always makes me feel awkward.
Asking for money?
Yeah.
Please pay us.
But please do. No.
But please do.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, I loved, and this is just a real quick one, a real quick point here. I loved the bit with the glasses and holding them up to the monitor and magnifying the guy's name tag and everything, just because this is a procedural. And one of the big time jokes you always hear about procedurals is their enhanced technology, their computer enhance, zoom in. Now look at his pupil. Now reverse the reflection on his pupil, and then you can see the guy across the street or whatever. And I thought this was
reverse the view on his pupil.
I've actually seen it done. I've actually seen clips of CSI where they zoom into the guy's pupil in a photograph, reverse it, and then adjust the contrast so they can see someone else across the street.
Wow.
It's nuts. But the glasses joke, I thought it was a very clever sort of take on that concept of the enhance. And it's one that would actually work in real life, because I've actually done that before, where I've been having trouble seeing something in a graphic on a computer and taken my glasses and held it up to it.
Have you really?
Or a magnifying glass. And yeah, it works to bump up the resolution even more so than zooming in or something like that will do. Yeah, it just because it kind of smooths it out a little bit more, because it's a practical magnification versus a digital one. You don't lose as much information.
Interesting.
So I thought it was a really, really funny joke. Enhance!
Enhance. Okay, so Penguin.
Penguin?
Speaking of enhance, he's not doing so much of the enhancing. Why is he struggling so bad to run this club?
I don't know.
I'm really bothered by this because he used to work there.
Yeah.
He has to know some of the ins and outs. How did he not know that the wall was all water? How did he not know that it was colored water?
He was just really, he was a low man on the totem pole when he worked there, though. He was literally Fish's umbrella holder.
I know, but he was literally Fish's umbrella holder, which means he was right here. That's why she was so scared when he took off or whatever.
Well, I kind of get the impression that that Butch was probably more of the handling, or Butch would have been the person that he would have been tagging along with, who would more likely know that information.
That's
Because
true.
Fish was she was the host, where Butch was like the guy running back behind the scenes, slapping behind the bar, like slapping the bar backs, being like, get these drinks out and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But it also, like, he was just running a restaurant, and then it seemed kind of successful. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it had a built-in clientele, but so did Fish Mooney's. So there's that. I don't know. Those bothered me.
Yeah, it does seem like they've kind of been pulling him back a little bit.
They really have, and I don't like it. I'm not, huge on the character, but they've made him very weak
Yeah.
and very sad, and like you just want to feel bad for him.
Well, considering his name is in the episode title next week,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see a return to form. In fact, that last scene between him and Butch, I thought it was very clear that he's going to start turning here. Butch says right there at the last scene, "I'm tired of being a sidekick," and so they're two sidekicks together now, but.
Right.
I don't think Penguin or Oswald necessarily wants to play second fiddle either.
He's
like,
not
because right now, I think he's kind of feeling insulted that Butch is doing so much better than him at
job.
getting things done, and I also think that his question about Fish Mooney, like, oh come on, Fish was all right, wasn't she? Now that she's gone, we can say she was, or all that stuff. That was totally a test for Butch. If he knows Butch cared a lot about Fish, especially with the new backstory we got about them
The 9 years.
teaming up 9 years prior to get the club in order and everything, turn it around from a cockfighting house. But with the new backstory, we know they've had like a huge history too, and also from when Butch killed his friend, we know that he was willing to do that. Penguin knows this. He knows that, so he asked Butch to kind of be like, oh, come on, she's all right, right? To read his answer. If Butch had been honest with Penguin and said, yeah, I kind of do miss her, clink the glass, things might have been easy peasy, lemon
Right.
squeezy,
Lemon squeezy.
Things would have been wonderful in Oswald's club. But I think Penguin knows that Butch is lying about that. So if he's lying about that, he's
What else
probably
is he
lying about other stuff.
He's
too.
probably the one stopping Maroney from delivering the booze.
Yeah, and I think that Butch will definitely, if nothing else, be a big bargaining chip between Fish and Penguin whenever Fish gets back.
Oh, you think he's
sure.
gonna last that long?
I think so. I think there's going to be a time when he's going to have to choose between the Penguin and Fish. He's going to choose Fish, and the Penguin's going to kill him. That would be my
He's gonna
guess.
choose Fish, and then he'll die.
And then he'll die.
So, speaking of Miss Fish, she kind of seemed, minus the thing.
Oh, Bobby Hawka also mentioned that there was another bad comedian at Fish's club.
It was the bad Jewish comedian.
Yeah, and which there was one in I believe the first or second episode too.
Yeah.
That we was on our Look at This Joker list. Look at this Joker.
He looked like it. Like, I was like,
Definitely.
they did this. This is for us.
And I believe later on in that scene there was also a ventriloquist up there, which fans of the comics know, Scarface.
Oh.
That could be cool. That could have
Interesting.
been it.
Eh,
But sorry, go back to Fish. Back
Okay.
to Fish.
She actually looked really scared walking down that hallway, looking in
Mm-hmm.
the rooms. Like, mostly when she saw the dude being put in a tub of ice.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I was scared looking at a dude being put in a tub
the
of
room
ice.
labeled Urban Legend. No.
Where's my goodness? So that was, I just thought that was weird because you don't see her look legitimately scared
Yeah.
ever.
Mhm.
Even when, she wakes up in this strange dungeony basement thing. I was kind of surprised that she accepted the shower and the clothes.
I thought
never
I
would've.
was kind of surprised that he offered them. Maybe it was just like one final kindness before we rip out your eyeballs or something. Like,
I don't know. I think he wanted to gain her trust. It wasn't necessarily a kindness.
so do you think he actually wanted to take her eyeballs, or was he bluffing?
I don't think he was planning on taking her eyeballs right then.
Yeah.
I think it may have come down the road, but I think he knew he needed to work with this person, and I think he may have just been trying to smooze her.
Yeah.
And that backfired, like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I've been trying to sort out her logic in this completely, but I think it was just a situation where she realized she didn't have the power, and there was only one way for her to get the power back, and that was to destroy the matching set of eyeballs in her head. And but she still wanted to have an eye left over, I guess. So, but honestly, I still haven't watched the actual scene because I have a thing with eyes. It's just like that's one of my greatest fears is anything happening to my eyes.
And if you listen to Universe Box in 2 days, you will hear about that.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. But so I did see the eyeball squunch. Oh, don't do that. Oh. Like, I can't even watch people put contacts in her eye. I was like, it's bad. So I think I saw the eyeball squitch, but I haven't
That
seen,
was disgusting.
I haven't seen her pry it out with the spoon. There was a similar, actually, it kind of surprised me too, is that I know when Walking Dead was first being adapted for television, they were like, well, they'll never do the scene, spoilers, with the governor and the spoon and Michonne and the eyeball, which is basically what happened here with a little bit of more grossness added to it. But I thought it was crazy that they did it on primetime network television when
like the 8 o'clock slot.
When people 2 years ago was like, oh, I don't think AMC will ever do that on a zombie show.
The times they are a-changin'.
The times they are changing.
Oh, random thought. Things I just noticed in this episode. When she gets mad or is trying to really make a point, she bares her teeth like an animal.
Definitely.
I don't know. Maybe it just hit me more this episode, but she was like, "Arr." I was like, oh, hi, Jada. Look at them pearly whites.
Oh, we got a new we got a new Patreon.
Hey.
Patreon, and we're almost up to $50 a month already. Thank you, whoever that was.
Thank you.
Who was it?
No.
Who was it? It's not showing. They must want to remain anonymous or something. Well, thank you.
Can you do that?
I guess. I don't know. Or maybe it's just not showing yet.
Weird. Thank you.
Thank you. But what were we even talking about?
What was that?
What?
Don't read the chat.
Don't read the
chat. Don't.
I
just told you not to read that. Oh, Thor.
Bobby Hawk said, when I was 10, my brother shoved a 4-foot palm frond in my eye.
Ow.
That's awful.
That's horrible.
Like, I'm honestly not sure where my fear of eyes came from. I think it was because I was a big reader when I was a kid, and I was like, if I can't read, what am I going to do with my life?
What will I do with my life?
So, but now they have audiobooks, so it's okay. Audible.com or audibletrial.com/Gotham, I guess.
What? Yeah.
Let's see. Did we have anything else to talk on Fish or?
Nah.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Vomit. Okay, so Barbara, kind of a creeper.
Barbara. She's just drunk. It's a little bit creepy.
The morning vodka.
The morning vodka, followed up by the mid-morning wine.
Followed up by the afternoon vodka. No, but I thought she was kind of a creeper this episode.
She was completely a creeper this episode.
Well, first of all, I think the scene this week, if nothing else, supported my theory from last week that she's kind of setting up her own bad girls, birds of prey, a la the comic book Birds of Prey, like a team of super villainesses all operating out of her watchtower, more or less.
Kind of, because she sold them. Like, she's like, I like having you here.
And it seems like she's trying to push them towards an end, almost. But it came off as a little creepy to me. Like, the stuff with Selena trying to tell her to use her attractiveness as a weapon and stuff, it felt almost like and I mean, this has come up before with characters like Mrs. Cobblepot and everything like that, but it almost seemed like she was grooming her, like almost like a child predator would or something. You know, very common tactic among child predators. And I don't know if it's just like the bisexual thing that's making me think that the fact that Barbara's bisexual.
Yeah, I'm aware of the situation.
Or that's making me think that, or if that's the intention. You know. Yeah,
one of the first things I saw when I saw the clip even was, is she hitting on her?
Yeah, and it's just because I mean, I know Cameron is 15, I think, but the character's 14, I believe, which is bit young.
Okay, still 15. Yeah. So you had something else?
Oh, I was also gonna say that Kat I think realized something was really, really wrong with the situation and just kind of like out of there right away. But I do think that if Barbara tries the same sort of techniques with Ivy, that it's going to work. Because Ivy obviously doesn't have nearly as much self-esteem or self-confidence as Kat does.
Correct. I also had a thought on that though.
Okay.
I don't think she even needs to. I think
Mm-hmm.
that she's already planted that seed
Yeah.
in Ivy's pretty little brain.
Well, there's a little bit of that in Ivy anyway with the phone call from a few episodes back.
Right. But she was, overhearing the entire
Mm-hmm.
thing. Your appearance is a weapon. Okay. Isn't Poison Ivy's costume basically a leotard and tights?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she very much uses her appearance as a weapon for sure.
Exactly. So she just created Poison Ivy
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I definitely,
with a sequins cardigan.
I definitely did get the idea though that if nothing else, this is where Catwoman and Poison Ivy are both going to kind of get that aspect of their personality. Most likely is from Barbara, but I still thought it was kind of creepy.
Oh,
Just a bit.
it was completely done creepy. But that's because she was, well, drunk.
Okay, so I guess that about does it here. Now, what to use as our arbitrary scale this week?
Oh, fine, use it.
All right.
Ugh.
Out of 35, which I counted, this is the exact number.
No, you didn't.
Out of 35 eyeball chunks, how many eyeball chunks would you give this episode, Anne-Marie? And also, you should probably tell the chat room.
This entire thing is disgusting.
35 eyeball chunks. Blech.
It felt awkward even typing that. I'll give it 29? 29 eyeball chunks.
29.
29
Why?
eyeball chunks. I mean, we got a lot with the whole Bruce and Alfred storyline.
Uh-huh.
We actually got something interesting with the Barbara storyline.
Yeah, actually, I'd say that this is probably the most focused Bruce and Alfred have had in an episode.
Right. Which is nice. Which is nice.
I like it.
I really didn't like Reggie to begin with. And then when he found out he was the bad guy, I didn't like that. I know somebody has to be the bad guy. But yeah, so 29. How about you?
Me, I'm going to say just a skitch lower than you. I'm going to say 28 eyeball chunks.
Do you have to keep saying?
Yes. 28 eyeball chunks. And just because I felt like the Bruce and Alfred stuff was really on point, the Red Hood stuff was really on point, the rest felt a little chess movie without a lot of thematic connection, except everyone was having vision problems this episode. I guess that was the common thread because,
Sorry.
Gordon takes Bullock's glasses. The Red Hood couldn't see because of the eye holes. Fish.
Pried her eyeball out with a spoon.
Yeah. Spooning fish Mooney. But yeah, so it felt a little filler, but I still really enjoyed it all. And like I said, I think the Red Hood storyline could have just held together, like, have no other character's perspective. It could have hung together as a cool little short film.
Yeah.
For sure.
Could have been good.
Anyone from the chat room? Oh, let's see.
Not last scene. Nope.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. And since we don't have an ad this week, just go to patreon.com/universebox. Now, on to the news. News. And first off, the ratings. Let's see here. The ratings, actually, I read this, and it was actually adjusted up a point.
Even after?
Yeah, I saw this. It ended up being Gotham's highest rated episode ever at a 2.3, which, it was a 2.2, up a tenth from last week's 2.1. But also, Anne-Marie went and found out that apparently they do this thing called adjustments on ratings, and it turns out that Gotham did
for last week's episode.
Yeah, last week's episode, which was like a series low, adjusted up 68% to a 3.2 or 10 rating. So
basically, which is a full 1.3 points after a 7-day delayed viewing, aka people are just DVRing it.
Yeah.
Like they just can't watch it live because of this, that, and the other thing. Just like we won't be able to watch it live starting this week because we'll be doing our other show.
Our other show on Monday nights. But yeah, and I also kind of wonder if if they include like digital downloads and stuff in that too.
Oh, I bet they do because they're
Probably.
ABC seems really big on letting you download immediately, like the next day, or watch it, stream it online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay, let's see here. Next up, we're going to, and we don't play these over the stream because we don't want YouTube to take us down, but we're going to talk you through the promo for next week's episode. Everyone has a Cobblepot, so let's go. Okay, Bridges. A lot of clips from the earlier in the season. Jim holding the gun in Barbara's apartment.
This is my home.
Lots of fighting.
Lots of flashbacks.
Yep. Yeah, and then they're
Okay,
talking
talking
about
about
investigating
yeah.
the board.
Cat girls at the hospital.
We're Riddler and more
Rivers
Eclipse.
of blood in the streets.
But a new breed of evil is coming. And Dr. Dollmaker and Fish with an eye patch. Arg. Arg, I'm
Not
Fish
planned.
Mooney.
Not planned.
Arg,
Which
I'm
is
Fish
funny.
Mooney. Take me to your treasure. Arg.
Which is funny because the boat she was on got taken by pirates.
It did. Very much so.
So there's that.
I am the captain now.
I am the captain.
Okay, and our last story here that I wanted to touch base on real quickly. Someone who usually calls in, she didn't end up calling in this week, Rebecca Johnson. A host of Supergirl Radio. Check that out. It's a pretty fun show. She posted this on Twitter earlier today. Basically, a Philadelphia University student made a protective bat suit. Now, this is an armored bat suit that is made to both be fashionable and practical. And I just thought it looked kind of cool. We'll have this link in the show notes at legendsofgotham.com, but very cool. Kind of like mesh coverings for the eyes, which I really like.
That's what you kind of have to have.
Yeah, because
it's a protector.
Well, plus you don't, like, I always thought it was weird that he exposed his eyes, because a lot of people, like, if they know you, they can tell who you are by just looking at your eyes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's usually in the dark.
Very true. Very true.
Pretty dark.
Batman likes to keep to the shadows for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe to strike fear in the hearts of criminals. Okay, let's wrap up here real quick with some listener feedback. As always, when you get done watching the episode, take a spoon, pry out your eye.
Oh, gosh!
Run down the hallway, email us, legendsofgotham@gmail.com from your computer. Of course, you won't have any depth perception really. So just, take some time with the keyboard while you're tweeting us at Legends of Gotham. Go over to facebook.com, update your profile picture with the lack of an eye, facebook.com/Legends of Gotham, and then call us and let us know what it's like to only have one eye. 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. You can also email us an MP3 like Bobby did. Take it away, Bobby.
Oh.
Hey, Bill and Emery, it's Bobby. I know I've been saying how much I enjoy the show more and more each week lately, but unfortunately I feel like this episode took a few steps back. Of course, I still enjoy the dynamic between Gordon and Bullock. I love Bullock as a character more and more each week, if that's possible. But unfortunately, this week's case just really didn't do it for me, which is unfortunate, again, because it was the Red Hood. It seems like you guys don't necessarily have to shut down your Look at This Joker thread, because they did throw us a few red herrings this week. Although
Look at This Joker is dead, Bobby Hawk.
My money's still on Jerome. It was cool to see the stout baker/robber guy. Took me a few seconds to recognize him as the doctor from, the psychiatrist from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. I am kind of curious as to what's...
Oh, very cool. Yeah, if you guys don't know, we also do another podcast called Greetings from Storybrooke where we talk about Once a Lot. So yeah, that may I get it now. I like it.
Going on with Butch. He did seem a bit more coherent this week than he was last. But of course, my favorite part of the episode would be the Bruce and Alfred storyline. It was really cool to see Alfred's past touched on a bit. Of course, it sucked what his friend did to him, but it really didn't carry that much weight because we all know in the end Alfred's going to pull through. And then that leaves us with Fish and Barbara. Last week I was saying it took me like 15 or 16 weeks to finally care or be interested in what happened to either one of those people. And now I totally am not again. I thought the whole eye gouging scene, which while surprising, was just a bit too much. And then Barbara trying to sex up Selena and Ivy just seemed weird.
Yeah, and yeah. I was looking at online reaction for this too, and it was split about 50-50. They were like, finally, Barbara's a great character. And the other half was like, Barbara, still, Barbara.
I thought she was like... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, let Poppy talk.
The whole one-on-one scene between Barbara and Selena, I doubt they meant it to play out that way, but to me, it just seemed a bit icky and creepy.
Yeah, if they didn't mean it to, a lot of people got that impression, Bobby, for sure.
Especially like when Selena was like, oh, no, don't touch me like that. So I guess that just leaves me with trying to come up with an arbitrary scale. Let's see, I guess out of 27 spare body parts, I give it 15.
Eyeball chunks, Bobby. Eyeball chunks. Well, although similar numbers to my arbitrary scale.
Similar.
Next up is Andy, who's also the host over on the Flash podcast. Take it away, Andy. Oh, and also we'll probably have a cool announcement with the Flash podcast, Supergirl Radio. And I think I'm not going to say the last name because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but a cool announcement from them coming next week. Take it away, Andy.
What's up, you guys? It's Andy from Andy B. And
What's up?
I just wanted to give my brief thoughts about this week's episode of Gotham. I wasn't too thrilled with it. It was a little bit lackluster. Although I wasn't sure going in how to feel about the Red Hood gang, because to me, Red Hood is always going to be Jason Todd. But I guess it's preference or whatever.
Yeah, if people out there aren't familiar with what he's referencing, Jason Todd was the second Robin who was killed by the Joker and then came back to life through the Lazarus Pit, which is Ra's al Ghul's immortality soup that he cooks in. Long story short, he came back to life and he adopted the identity of a superhero identity of the Red Hood to kind of dig back in at the Joker, to kind of mess with him psychologically. You killed me, now I'm you, more or less.
That's creepy.
But I was more intrigued with the things that were going on with Bruce and Alfred's friend, and even though we know the Batman mythology and we know that he's not going to die, it did kind of kill me emotionally that to see him in a hospital bed, and it was odd, but overall I really enjoyed the episode. And what the fish? I knew that woman had some problems and was a little bit mentally irky, but damn, she just cut her eye like no problem. She just poof. But I overall I enjoyed this episode. Not as good as the last couple of episodes, but I did enjoy the stuff with Alfred and Bruce, and oh my God, I'm blanking on the name of their friend. But I'm wondering, a question to you guys is, the whole Wayne Enterprises thing, being shady and all, is this based on something from the comic books? Is this something that that has kind of happened before, when the whole board of Wayne Enterprises has been kind of shady and whatnot? So that's what I'm wondering. But overall, guys, I can't wait to listen to your discussion, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Andy. I can't think of any specific stories where that's happened. I know that several people in Wayne Enterprises were involved with the Court of Owls. What's
We're
up?
To $51.
Oh, yay! So I guess we have a monthly hangout with our patrons.
We have a monthly hangout. Thank you, Bobby Hawk, for putting us over.
Thank you. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I can't think of any specific stories, but I know some Wayne board members were part of the Court of Owls, and I know that they're a constant antagonist for Bruce Wayne. He actually, later on in the comics, and this was Morgan Freeman's character in the Batman movies, puts Lucius Fox on the board to kind of run interference for him while he's off being Batman. And Lucius Fox also kind of knows he's Batman too. Doesn't like to admit it, but he will when he needs to. Okay, let's see. Our last voicemail is from Michael. Take it away, Michael Lucero.
Oh, Bill. I know you were as traumatized by that scene as I was.
I was.
Yes.
I was, Michael.
That, shall we say, third option scene. Eye-related violence is one of the few things that I can't watch as well. I have a feeling that might go down in history as the most well-remembered scene in the show. I
Will certainly haunt my nightmares.
Seriously.
honestly thought this episode was just okay at best until the revelation at the end that Payne, I guess was his name, was working for the Wayne Enterprises. That was really crazy. I thought that saved the episode, kind of elevating it from a mere filler episode to a key story moment in the evolution of Bruce's relationship with his father's company. So I like that revelation a lot. Also, the guy in the preview who looks like he might be the Dollmaker was in Revolution as a villain. I really like the actor. I think he can do creepy and threatening really well. So it was a great episode. I like it when they turn, when they kind of catch you off guard by kind of lulling you into thinking, okay, this is just okay at best, and then just completely shock you with the revelation that recasts the whole story of the episode. Based on what you learn at the end. All in all, I'd give this episode 7.6 out of 11 desperation-inducing bank rejection letters. Can't wait to hear the podcast. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Excellent.
Yay.
And I love that arbitrary scale. That was
really good. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
We haven't had any. We don't do as much of the crazy points and
Yeah.
fractions over
Well,
here.
it goes back and forth. We That's probably the most variable part of any of our podcasts is the arbitrary scale.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, and it rides in waves. Let's see. We have one letter here this week from
read it.
Gerline. Yeah, I was going to.
Oh,
First off, I just wanted to thank her for specifically while the episode was airing last night, reaching out to me on my personal Twitter and being like, hey, there's eye stuff. Watch out. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And she says, hi, Bill and Anne-Marie. I finally managed to take some time out from school to send this email. This week's episode was just wow. There were so many intriguing storylines, and they all have extremely strong potential to pay off in the future. The Red Hood, for example, can be carried out by anyone, and I find that to be such a clever way to keep the story going. Anyone who wears that mask will be carrying on the legacy of the Red Hood, and it reminded me of Batman. Like a symbol. I'm not too familiar with the comic book lore, so please correct me on this. No, you're about right there. Like Batman is intended to be bigger than Bruce Wayne. Like a few years back, when Batman died in the comics, the Robins were there ready to pick up the cowl and just move on with it. So. For some reason or another, Bruce gets injured and is unable to be Batman. So Dick Grayson, she's talking about that. So Dick Grayson steps in, dons the cape, and carries on the role of being the Night Crusader. I found this to be really interesting because these characters have just become so much bigger than themselves. While there's just one definitive Batman, Bruce Wayne, the Red Hood presents this opposite where absolutely anyone can take on his role. Maybe even the Joker, which is, again, interesting because who's Batman's greatest villain? That's right, the Joker. Apart from that, Fish Mooney surprised me. I absolutely did not expect her to mutilate herself in that manner just to fend for herself. I mean, that speaks so much about her character, and I would love to know what you guys thought about that scene.
vomit. That's what I thought about that scene. Vomit.
Apart from all the squealing and puking, of course, if anything about the resilience of her character and her determination to do whatever, if anything, it shows the resilience of her character and her determination to do whatever it takes to survive. Also, if you could elaborate a little on who Reggie is, that would be awesome. Overall, I give this episode 40 squished eyeballs out of 60. But I think Reggie, I think that's just a character created for the show. He could show up in Batman Earth 1, the Earth 1 Batman, which this Alfred is kind of based on, but I don't recall him at all. But we'll see. Okay, Anne-Marie, you want to wrap up with some tweets here?
Oh, sure. Okay, first from Mystery Cat 25. Thank goodness for podcasts. I love the shows and trivia, but don't read the comics at Legends of Gotham, at Flash TV, and at Arrow. I agree, Mystery Cat. Okay, and then another one finally caught up. I equals ew, gross. Alfred and Bruce are still my fave, so glad they're back. Alfred cries. How dare they? Let's see. In response to us asking for people's feedback, at just Doug77, I think holy bleepin' crap just about covers it. Yep, I agree, Doug. And from at other Anne-Marie, basically I'm just gonna call her that. So sorry, Bill. Fish taking an eye out was horribly disgusting.
It was.
Loved meeting an old buddy of Alfred's.
Excellent. And I saw Bobby Hawk say, I didn't realize there was an episode last night. Episode of what? I don't know.
Did we release something yesterday?
Did we? I don't know. I think we did maybe a greetings.
Commentary?
I don't know.
Anyway, wrong show.
Anyway, but thank you very much, guys. So, next week when you're done watching Everybody Has a Cobblepot, I want you to take 2 spoons, out both of your eyes, pop them out, take those eyes that you popped out, pop them in your mouth, run down to your computer, email us legendsofgotham@gmail.com, tweet us a photo of that at Legends of Gotham.
How are they going to take the photo?
No, with the eyes just like in their mouth, like a crumb or whatever from All Real Monsters. And then Facebook us, facebook.com/Legends of Gotham. And finally, take the eyeballs out of your mouth and leave us a voicemail, 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. Now, Anne-Marie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at DeSimone. I also write a bunch of stuff at crunchycrafty.com.
And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Bill Meeks. You can pick up my books at dogboyadventures.com. And I guess, you can check out our new podcast at universebox.com. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/universebox. Well, I guess that's about it. Do you have any other business to take care of?
Nah, I'm just correcting Bobby Hawk. He thought we
that's fair.
recorded last night.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay, well,
Nope.
join us next time for more
Legends of Gotham. Do, 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 do.
And here the music comes. Here's the music.
Music.
Just realized I had that playing on the audio recording, so I'm going to have to kind of cut that together and fade them with each other. It's fine, though.
That's fine. Whatever.
It's totally fine. Anything else going on in the chat room?
Nah.
Oh, he thought we recorded last night. Okay. Well, we didn't. Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Such a good time, as always.